Yeah.
All right. So how do we combat the underhook? The underhook is an interesting issue here because if he gets too deep, it doesn't allow us to proceed. Okay. So we have to figure out a way, especially if he's playing a real braced out, hard high side underhook. If I continue to push into him, it's going to give him the opportunity he needs to slip out the backside. Then we got all kinds of problems. Okay, so we have a couple options here. As he's fished for this high side underhook, one of the easiest ways to deal with this is to turn this into a non-issue, non-underhook. Okay, we're going to move that to the low side. We're going to go to more of a cradle and escape from the backside. So from right here, I'm going to come around the backside of the head and I'm going to lock myself to him because what I don't want is the head coming out. Once this happens, I'm going to just step over the backside. Okay. So once we get into this position, now he no longer has a high side underhook and the threat of the back take is completely gone, right? So back over here. Let's say I'm back. He fights into that underhook, starts really digging hard up underneath me, and I'm only able to really catch the head. Just momentarily catch the head. And this is not going to be something that I can hang on to for very long. He's eventually going to create enough space to get out. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm down on my elbow. I'm going to just step over the backside. And as we step over and we roll all the way in, now I straighten this leg completely out. All right? So again, this becomes an issue of how do I get the knee out? It's all about the knee. The only thing I have to clear is the knee in order to start working all my passing sequences, okay? So from here, I'm gonna check the hip. He still has no underhook. Start straightening my leg out. I'm scooting away, making my leg as long as humanly possible, right? I'm getting up super high around the cheek, pinning his upper body down to the mat. Now, I can bring my shin in if I want to help with this, all right? Depending on what he's doing, whichever way he decides to hang on to this leg. If he decides to switch his lock, more of a high side lock like this, I can actually lift him up, I can pull him this way, and I can start to work even tighter, and I can scoot out. If he keeps it down the other way, just kind of hanging onto the toe, I'm locked on this hip, I just keep on straightening my leg out, and I'm going to attack the top knee. Attacking the bottom knee doesn't do much. Okay, and we get kind of caught up on which knee do we want to attack. I want to attack the top knee, and I want to attack it right in here where my heel's going to pop out at. And then I'm out. All right. This is probably my favorite sequence if somebody sneaks a deep underhook because there's not much of a way for them to stop me from sitting over. Now, one of the issues here is as he's got this underhook and he's digging, and I catch the head, and this eliminates his ability to continue to dig right now. Okay. What I got to be careful of is if he comes under and catches this, and as I sit over, well, this turned into something that's going to be really cool to something pretty bad. Okay, so I've got to be cognizant of the freedom of this leg right here. I cannot let him have this leg. So as I catch, before I make any decision to try to step over that backside, I've got to rid this, all right? Or I've got to pin it, or I've got to do something with it. Most of the time, if they start trying to grab that, I'm just going to go palm down. I'm going to lock this, and then I step back. Okay. The speed with which you step back is very important. If you do it more like a long step, boom, and get that leg back there quick, he doesn't have an opportunity to use that momentum and flare you over. So what I mean by this is, we're here, right? I notice he's trying to dig up underneath here. Gonna pin his wrist, head to head. Now as I go over, it's more of a long step. Boom. Now that foot is to the mat quick enough that if he does start trying to come up on his hip, I'm blocking the hip right here and I can start to straighten my leg out and really work away from him, creating the space to go ahead and clear and step and pass. Okay? So once we get a minute, just a quick second, hard back step, long step to the back, make sure that foot hits and you got an affirmative grip with the foot so that you can start driving, okay? Don't just let the foot hit and dead leg it. Let the foot hit and get your hips off the mat. If your hips are down, it's gonna be a lot easier for him to sweep you. So I'm here, he's digging high side, boom. I'm just gonna catch the head long enough to stop him from squirting out the backside. That's really all I've got right here. I don't have many options left. All right? He's not actively going under this leg at this particular point, but if he does, I'm gonna pin, okay? When I pin, I'm gonna vault off of this right leg, and I'm gonna hit and get my hips off the mat. My hips never touch, okay? Now I'm pushing away, and I lock the hip. Use the elbow, use my hand. If I need to, I can bring this shin in here for a little bit extra support, but I want to keep my legs straight. Don't go trying to bend your leg and pull it out. Gives him a lot more to grab onto. Perfectly straight. Start working your foot out. Get on the top knee, spread him out, and pass. We got it?
Can you use your foot to pin that hand down, that wrist down?
On this side?
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't you need to step with that foot?
Yeah, you'll need to step with it eventually.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, you can use it to pin it if you need to.
Okay.
If you're having an issue, like if you just can't chase it, yeah, if you want to. Sure. Depending on where your foot's at, obviously the question here is, how do we, if he digs under here and I'm just not really having a great time pinning, can I step?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can step and pin. Oh, back step. I can work here. Not a problem at all.
Okay.
It might be where you want to transition that between your hand to your foot. You might want to pin with your hand, put your foot on there, and then back step off. That's just fine too. What are you doing? No. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3.